made today. I hope it works. If you're watching this, that means it worked okay. So I'm going to use this mold that is really made for crushed velvet. I got this from Pouring Your Heart Out. Julie Cutts made it. It's a very good quality mold. She's in Australia, but she does have an eBay store, so you should check that out. So what I'm going to do is try to make a beach scene with waves from these crushed velvet ripples that are in this mold. So I'm going to use some sand that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to use a couple alcohol inks for the blues. So this one is the Mod Podge brand, which is called Blue. And this one is Color Pour Resin Transparent Dye in Jade. And then I'm going to use clear resin, and we're going to top coat them on the other side of these with the waves. So let's see how this works. It's an experiment, so we're going to learn together. Here we go. Okay, I mixed up 8 ounces of resin and then I split it between 4 cups and I put 2 ounces in each cup. So one of them has the sand, which I'm putting here on the bottom of all 4 first. So just add in as much sand or as little sand as you want. And then I mixed up the lighter bluish green and then the darker blue, and then I left one clear. So then you're just going to line in the blues as you want them situated in the water. I go from lightest to darkest, and then I will add in the clear between the sand and the lightest until the molds are filled up. I used almost all of it, so they take almost 2 ounces each. There was just a tiny bit, little bit of resin left, so I added a little bit of blue since it was sitting right there. And then I have this little extra mold that sits around for any extra resin. I usually make bookmarks out of them. And when there's a tiny, tiny bit left, I use this cute little cupcake mold and I make magnets out of them and just give the magnets away. So that is the first step. Now that they're pretty situated the way I want them, I'm going to go ahead and spray them with my mister. I've got 99% alcohol in this little dollar mister sprayer I got from Walmart, and it pops all the bubbles pretty well. You can also use a heat gun, but that might move your colors around too much, or a torch, but that could possibly damage the mold. And this is a really good mold that was quite expensive, and I just don't want to take any chances. So I use the torch as little as possible and try to stick with the alcohol. Now, the light green did get washed out some by the clear, and I wasn't too crazy about that dye that I was using. So I did add some blue green made by Picasso alcohol ink. I will link that below too. And I just kind of mixed it in the best that I could. It's going to move anyway as it cures, but I just tried to get it a little darker, and I did have to work a little bit to get this blue green to mix into the clear. So you can still see a little bit of clear after I was done. And the darker blue stayed pretty well, so I didn't touch that. Then I'm just going to clean up the mold around the edges so I don't have all that sticking to them when I pull them out tomorrow. And they will have a little ledge around the edge that kind of will make the dam for the top coat, because like I said, these are for crushed velvet. And I used this mold in a prior video you can go look at, making the actual crushed mold coasters with chameleon powders. And that's pretty much what they were made for. But I just wanted to be able to use this for another reason, because I didn't want, this nice mold sitting around just for one reason. So I'm trying to use it for other things that I could do. So I'm just seeing, I have a feeling this will look good with the waves in the background on those crushed velvet ripples in there. So go ahead and enjoy the rest, and I will unmold these tomorrow. Okay, let's take these out of the mold. It's been overnight and they're fully cured. And they came out exactly like I thought they would. You can see the ripples. They are transparent like I wanted them to be because I wanted to be able to see the ripples through the top coat that we're going to put on next. The stand looks good. It's not too thick. And the ledge where we're going to put the top coat in looks pretty good. There are a few bubbles in there, and so I'm just going to tape those edges up, which is what I did to the crushed velvet ones when I did them, and that worked perfectly. So I'm just going to use some painter's tape and just tape up the areas that have the little bubbles to hold that clear resin in when we pour on top. Those little pieces I held up a second ago were just the little magnets that I make of the extra resin. So I just made two of those. Now, I'm sorry about the angle on this camera view. I didn't realize it wasn't centered, but I'll really quick show you. I'm just using painter's tape, and I'm just going to go around the edges just where the bubbles were, like I said before. And I'm going to fold the tape underneath so it sits flat back on the countertop as soon as it's all on. I'm going to use this white pigment paste by Eye Candy. I think it's called Satori White. I will link it down below. Anyway, I had this bright idea as if I was going to do a cutting board and just pour my white resin above the sandy part of the beach and then put my wave there. However, you'll see in just a few minutes that my idea did not work out that well, that the waves that I did make ended up traveling through those grooves on the surface of the coaster. So I did end up having to mix up a little bit more clear and try to save them. So I will let you go ahead and watch the pouring of the clear, and then we will do the wave. So I will have my heat gun ready and the torch to try to get some cells in those waves. Okay, I'm just going to push this clear to the edges of the coaster to make sure it's all filled in before I start pouring the white resin to do the waves. I'm going to take this popsicle stick and pour just a tiny, not really pour, but drip on the edge of this clear resin where I want my long wave to go across the whole beach. And then I'm going to put a little bit up in the sky, well, not really sky area, but up in the dark blue area as if more waves were going to come in. Then I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to move it across as I would if it was a cutting board. Now have you Um, Never done a coaster before this small, so it does move quickly, and you have to be very careful not to blow the resin off the coaster. So I would do it on low speed and do it slowly. Also, you will see that some of these pigment pastes are flammable. So if you get too close with a torch to make those cells, a flame will start, but it did go out straight away. So I will go ahead and let you watch the making of the waves. This is where I'm going to try to save what happened. As you can see, the white moved down farther because my plan was to let it dry as it was and then put another top coat over that, but that didn't work. So I quickly mixed up another couple ounces of clear and I tried to pour it on the sand part to try to save the sand as much as I can. So that was my plan. Now I'm going to see how they come out when they dry. I got these little covers at the dollar store and I just placed them over coasters that I could do or something smaller than these just to keep the dust out while they're drying. Okay, they're fully dried now, and I just want to show you the difference between a white background on the back of them and not a background on the other two. So the two on the left, obviously, it's very hard to see the blues. And the two on the right that I have the white towel underneath, you can see it much better. So what I think I'm going to do is put a white coat on the back. So I'm going to coat the backs of them with white. I just wanted to mention here that you can no longer see the ripples. So my overall plan to see the ripples for using this mold did not happen. So as soon as I put that clear on and the waves on, it's just a normal coaster. So I do not recommend trying to get that wave effect from using the crushed velvet coaster mold because it's not going to make any difference. You can no longer see any of those that I did. So, and also the waves didn't come out as planned. They're not a complete failure, which is why I'm showing the video, but they are definitely not what I was planning in the first place. So I'm still going to try to save them and get the backs coated. I'm just going to use these little cups to get them up off the surface in case something drips and it won't resin itself to my countertops or the silicone pad that they're on. That would be a bigger mess to clean up. Okay, I'm going to use this mica powder, I think. It's May Spring White Pearl to do the backs instead of white pigment. I just think it would go better with the beach scene than a just solid white surface on the back. So I just mixed up a bunch of this until I can no longer see the stick through it. And then I'm just going to top coat them, which is really the bottom. So I'm going to bottom coat them the same as you would the top, except they're the bottoms. So go ahead and check this out.